Okay, so thank you for attending today's webinar. Today we are going to discuss about agentic AI and IP moats, and particularly how they architecting defensible, monetizable, and trustworthy healthcare. So today we are going to discuss about three agenda. One is what is IP moat in healthcare, and case studies of IP mode in healthcare, and agentic AI frameworks. What's the next generation IP modes in healthcare? So I'm going to start in slide mode. Okay, so first, what is IP modes in healthcare? So IP modes is a term that used for the first time by Warren Buffett. He's a investment expert and famous in the stock market. So what he talk about is to kind of like the what is the durable competitive advantage bring. So that moat means that kind of like a durable competitive advantage tools. So traditional moat is a scale, distribution, brand, and intellectual property, and many type of the like bring the durable competitive advantage, and then particularly IP is one of the key to bring moat. So IP is durable, legally enforceable, and monetizable moat. So in healthcare context, from blockbuster drugs to AI-driven digital health platforms. So they cover all aspects of the healthcare. So in a broader sense, this healthcare include all kind of like life science, including biopharma and medical tech and other digital health and other area of healthcare that include. And so for over a century, IP has been one of the strongest modes in business strategy, not just in healthcare, but in other or type of the tech-based industry. And unlike the scale of this IP doesn't just define, it is legally exclude libels and enable monetization through licensing and many other kind of utilizing as a business asset to bring the competitives. So, so for pillars of the traditional IP mode, usually this is we call intellectual property that you can be protected under legal domain. So patents, you know about burial. So this is a crash innovation here. So it provides a legal monopoly for new inventions, usually 20 years in the United States and other most of the other jurisdictions, and enabled healthcare innovation to thrive. And trade secret is you can think of a Coca-Cola kind of like what the recipe that hidden. So invisible fortress. So protect confidential know-how. So enduring as long as the secrecy is maintained. So how you secure your trade secret, right, is a matter of the fact. And then copyright is a creative protector, right? So it's kind of like a software or the creative articles or something like that. So, and then even music, the good original work of authors is like a software and other kind of like AI algorithm and digital therapeutics, many other kind of the software type. And trademark is kind of like, for example, the brand and other trademark symbols, kind of like you can think about it. And these four pillars are formed like interacting defenses, right? It can be interchangeably, can protect your asset. This is whole category that you can think about as a traditional mode. But beyond that, actually, the healthcare can utilize other type of the asset or the intellectual property that you can utilize. So, for example, that traditional IP mode you can see very in common is in the pharmaceutical, right? So drug. So Pfizer's Lipitor is one example that the they call blockbuster patent. So Impact is was world best selling drug and generating over 150 billion during its patent protected period, right? So it protected from other competitors to come to this market. And most function is that the patent certified from generic competition, right? Because once a year, the 20 years of exclusive right is dismissed, right? Because usually it's 20 of the end, and then don't have any right can be executed, and then there is a generic drugs just copy yours, and then your price will be down, right? Because not anymore you can have any competition with other generic drugs. So patent exclusivity can sustain long-term pharma innovation and fund the pipeline of the future therapies. And why traditional IP modes are straining in healthcare? So now is we are at days of the AI, right? So a lot of the like, for example, that the patent to execute actually from the filing to get the patent is so slow compared to innovation cycle, particularly related to AI. So initially that you talk about something that this is my right, this is my patent can protect this way. It's very skeptical about if there is something happen and that you went to the court to dispute or resolve the disputes and that they will scrutinize your claims, right? And look at whether you have a right to protect that amount of your, for example, it's like a land size or something like that, right? So, and then try to create, because that's very difficult now to protect, right? Because it's kind of like how to make a resolution to protect your try the secret. What's the measure you can bring is very risky now. It can be the leakage risk is very increased because of the a lot of the technology developed. And copyright also kind of like generative AI raise authorship and originality dilemmas, right? So and then also you may have seen this one copyright kind of like the AI generate like novels, music, or something like that. And trademark is also dilution through the global e-commerce and copycat has apps and many kind of like things actually that your uniqueness of trademark will be diluted. So traditional IP protections remain essential, but they are straining. So still essential, but we need to be new strategy. AI and digital has evolved too fast for patent cycles and to serious ecosystem challenging trade secret and generative AI confuse copyright law and trademarks face dilution in the boldness app-driven world. So so we need some new strategy. So it's we need some new transformation from static protection. It's not valid, right? Because you sit down and then you have this kind of like the IP asset, and then you just sit down and no other change and then just bring you to some kind of protection. It's no longer it's available now. So AI and healthcare that brings advances come from adaptive algorithm, data flows, and regulatory foresight. So your innovation, your invention should be dynamic, right? It's adapt to this fast track, kind of like a fast life cycle of the innovation. And then continuous innovation means that the pattern cycles lag behind iterative model update and complex IP landscape, right? So initiatives against the dynamic learning-based system and resilience needed, right? So companies must brand traditional mode with dynamic AI era defenses, right? So in AI-driven healthcare, the most of yesterday actually I finished my 6 weeks course at Johns Hopkins course about the AI in healthcare, right? And we discussed a lot of topics, and then there are a lot of innovation is going on, right? And then the one of the thing that we key discussion was that the policy and government regulation kind of like a legal like a kind of thing is lag behind the innovation phase. So there was a kind of like we discussed about the intensity over 6 rate. So real advances rise in continuously evolving models. So orchestrating property data flows and building compliance aligned platforms. So the moat is no longer steady, it must be adaptive. So this is a case study. So this is the case study from the actual litigation. So Oura ring, this is a famous ring that actually the redefining wearable healthcare. So it is kind of like new form factors. It's not nothing to do with watch type or the other type of the wearable. It's a ring, right? It can be fit into your finger. So the first mainstream has tracker, to create the jewelry-like ring design, right? So yesterday, actually, a few days ago, I've been participate in like a Boston Meditech the expo, and then there was one startup actually bring kind of like combined with the jewelry type of the design with the wearable device. So it was fantastic, right? So I think this kind of trend will be keep going on, right? So it's kind of like combination of the beauty and jewelry market with the traditional healthcare wearable market. Right? So beyond the fitness, moves wearables from step and calories into sleep, stress, and recovery science. Right. So it just not just measure your biorhythms or whatever, but it will be provide you more insight, like a therapeutic insight. Right. So turn into based on AI interpretation. It give you about the what is your sleep, and then try to provide a guide for the like insomnia, something like that, and then like mental health stress and many kind of like recovery science can be bringing. So Bridge to Healthcare provide course clinical insight. So so it bring kind of like a different aspect of the that traditional wearable device, healthcare wearable device, wearable product can bring. So it was formed a very good kind of a faster expanding market, and that's why that it's lucrative, and then it bring the competitor, right? So that's the reason that there was a one copycat actually in their claim. So they innovate inside the Urus ring is that they have a bunch of the patent to cover different type of the innovation. So for example, covered micro battery. So enable up to 7 days of power in compact format, right? So power is very important in the small form factor. And then it is even that it will, what's the like a longer time can endure, like is key in the wearable device. And the miniaturized sensors and like a like a broad oxygen, like a pulse oximetry, and then gyroscope and accelerator and system integration type of that. It cover all as of the component subsystem, system level interact. Even they have like other kind of, they call like trade address. So it try to protect their design, shape, everything. So they bring kind of like a traditional IP mode to here. So this is a summary that based on their patterns. So there I found that doesn't particularly key. There is a keys like a 6 or 5 to 6 pattern. Actually, they also bring into their litigation. So they cover all aspects of the function and the feature of this ring. So they have a well protected like a scheme for every aspect of the ring product features and function. So they are very comprehensive, like a patent portfolios to design. And then this is like a lot of the like healthcare and wellness impact. And one is like, for example, sleep science and stress recovery, women's health, and respiratory health, right? So Ura's feature extend beyond wellness into healthcare adjacent inside. Its better proposition is not just tracking, it's actionable health guidance and empowering users to optimize recovery, manage stress, and even monitor the potential medical risks. So, what happened that I mentioned that because of this, right? So Asian market is very promising. So there was a one Indian company actually that very produced very similar one, and then they started from India. Then they went to like U.S. market. They penetrate the market that actually the share by the Oura, and then so the Oura sue this Ultrahuman based on their patent portfolio and other IP. So what happened is that, uh, okay, so I think that here is, okay, so, okay, probably, I think that okay, so I will give you the, because I put in his, I will share that some, uh kind of like this one is not the correct one. So basically they sue in the district court and then ITC. The mostly that what happened is actually that first, because of the they want to protect the US market. So what they did was to kind of like to sue over ITC. So usually, well, the usually, for example, there are a lot of the product actually like that's produced in foreign country out of boundary of the United States, and they should be imported, right? So even if you are headquarters in the United States, for example, Apple iPhone, they produce a lot of the produce in China and other country, right? So for the like jurisdiction way, actually they are imported the product, right? So when there is something that you fear that the imported product infringing your patents, usually they sue over ITC. So International Trade Committee, what their law is that they are not the court system. So they are execution system. So the beauty is they are very fast, right? So it's an execution, executive regime, not the court, right? Because the court is very slow. For example, you can file a suit over the, for example, Texas District Court usually, and then it take a lot of time to preparing and a lot of process is going on, right? Because to from the filing to the, for example, initial settlement or the final court decision take a long time. So usually what the patent owners of doing is they sue over ITC, and then as I told you, the ITC is not like a court system, so they cannot judge over like whether it's kind of like some they call like a settlement, right? So some kind of like, for example, they evaluate when imprint, and they evaluate as kind of like the remedy, so that if infringing, then you calculate how much damage happened because of this infringement, and then they provided some amount of damage. But in 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 the ITC's function is not that way. So actually, if the infringer is decided, and then they provide injunction, so ban the product imported to the United States. So they call injunction, right? So, but that's very fast track. So usually, what happened was that the Ura not only sue them in the kind of like in district court, they was a sue over ITC and they won. So the ultra human product is banned to import it to the United States. So what the shoes kind of like because it gotta keep the U.S. market holy. So it kind of like a very like a powerful tool to bring IP mode, right? So this is a very good example that in digital healthcare area that If you have a, like a very, very well developed the like patent portfolio in case that they infringing your patent and that they try to penetrate your market and then you can sue over ITC to ban their there is many history of the litigation. There was a litigation about the trade dress and design. And so like a counterattack by the Ultrahuman in India, something like this. But that's too much detail in the legal matters. But anyways, the key point here is that because of Oura, because of their IP moat strategy, that they protect the very important market, US market, from copycat, right? So I will replace this one to the correct one and I will share later. So, lessons for innovator investors are targeted patterns win, right? Focus claim on specific innovation, right? And be broad on focused filing. And usually that you should worry about because usually when you sue by infringement, and then usually the counterwork is try to invalidate your patent, right? So they try to find some previous invention actually that precede you, they call prior. And if there is found, and your patent claim is to be invalidate, right? So there's countersuit, right? And then there are many kind of like different suit can be applied. For example, antitrust to anti trust kind of like in litigation. Many type of the different type of the litigation can be happen. Here is a kind of like moat attract capital, right? So for example, that you have like investors, and investors are very, very worried about kind of like some risk factors. Even if you have successful like here in the market, right? But you can, if you not can protect your market, and it will be a very strong risk. So here's two factors. Early filing of innovation is very important because of the like invalidation through the prior. And the second thing is to be they are not hidden value, right? Because usually that I experience uh to the a lot of the like traditional company, big company, they have a they already know about it. They know about the operating their business is rely on kind of patent portfolio protection. So they have a in-house kind of like a team or the division or whatever, some big company, like a big giant company, and there are thousand like the expert working for them. But usually when I like discuss with some startup and they hesitate to have IP. Right, they think about it, they want to spend money, this, and they don't think about this is the first flyer or something like that. But as you see that, because it's kind of like insurance, right? Because if it will be not have until certain time, right? So for my long time of the experience in IP, particularly I have intensive experience IP monetization. So I have involved a lot of the IP acquisition, M&A, and kind of like thing. Usually what happens is that during the like a peaceful operation of the business, you don't know about what the value of IP, right? But once that happens, like for example, the irony is that the when you're operating peacefully and you revenue generate very well, then you cannot see the value of the IP because they are behind the scene, all right? But usually your 11th generation, your business phrase is supported by IP, right? So, but they are intangible, so they call intangible asset, right? But once you have a operating business is kind of like bankrupt, for example, is I have involved a lot of the evaluation of the like acquisition of the bankrupt company, right? And then what happened is that your hidden values show up. So your IP value is a surface and then show something value, right? That's the kind of like a characteristics of the IP. So a lot of the like business people think about IP is not bring something that right away their money or the revenue or whatever, right? So they think about it's not valuable too much to spend their money, right? But that's the one that here is the kind of thing that important you need to think about for the first time. So IP protection is very important, right? So here is one thing that you think about what kind of like innovation, invention can be protected as a patent, and other IP the same have some criteria. So I just recommend to file a provisional patent application, and then this is one that actually that before you file a regular patent, you have 1 year, the period you can fix anything, you can implement more. But the beauty of that, you have a filing date, right? So you have an invention date. So it's very, very important earlier invention that behind the invention following you, it cannot you will be a prior to them, so they cannot be their own invention that cover your area. So, and then also like a 12 period, you can think of a lot of the different type of the strategy, right? You can think of in the global market, it depending on your like development of your business, right? You can have a lot of the things you can do. So usually that I work with my client to do this one first. So, in the for the other cases, actually, there are several cases that have seen the IP mode. So Fitbit and Jawbone is one example, and Philips and Fitbit. So there are many cases you can think about it. So I will share the updated one. So this kind of thing that you can think about many different type of the like uh, IP mode can think about it. So So patent and trade secret remain essential but not sufficient, right? Because there is a many different combination is really in healthcare. The healthcare more complex, fragile, and multidimensional. And innovators face a battlefield shaped by the technology shift, litigation, and regulation. So our case study have shown that even the strongest seeming moat can crack. So in today's healthcare environment, protecting innovation is no longer a one-dimensional legal access is a multi-front campaign. And so key challenges that this is actually uh, for the expert of domain. So like me, I'm a patent attorney and I have a lot of experience, innovation and patent matters, IP protection and IP monetization like that. But anyway, you have in mind that like the freedom of operation, whether you before you develop some innovation, that whether any kind of like other innovation is going on, and then whether they have a similar one, and then how you can differentiate, right? So this is one you need to think about, and there was like the quality of the not a good like just to have a lot of the pattern, right? Because they be well qualified, and then as you see in the Oura ring, that they will cover the every aspect of your the product is essential your business operation, right? And then if you think about, for example, usually in pharma bio area, that a lot of the revenue is from the licensing. So in that case, actually, the multi-layer right to dream cost to be a loyalty staking is kind of thing you have to think about, and then also regulation risk. And then not just the patent regulation is very important in healthcare especially. So it's you can think about and not just the IP but actually the how they can be integrated with the regulation space. And then data also very important, and data right privacy is very very important whether they are related to HIPAA, GDPR compliance, something like that. And investor perception, right? It's a valuation string with relationship outcome. So actually, I just introduced my next webinar about this topic. And so what you can think about, right? Now that not traditional like a static protection is not enough, right? So effective mode you can think about is a so it should be very enforceable and aligned with regulation and multi-layer pattern trade secret and regulatory data and actively defend against erosion and shifting it from static defense to dynamic integrated resilience. Okay, so this is one actually that I'm currently working on. So I filed two U.S. provisional patent that together mark a major milestone. This is my starting point to developing new IP mode strategy implementation to contrast the traditional one. So one startup actually that I'm a strategy advisor is the Next Trier AI. And then this company is a startup, so it developing agentic AI powered clinical trial platform. So we actually I was a participant and then I as an inventor and also we draft a patent and I filed it as a patent attorney. So provisional filing for several innovation then and transform trial protocol into regulatory ready workflow. And subsystem it has a several innovation at one time. So to get the invention date. So for example, trial activation and patient safety and retention and left attribution and dynamic compliance, something like this. So I'm going to provide, we already have a webinar about this topic in the previous webinar. And so I'm going to also talk about this topic more. This Saturday, actually, I'm going to give a talk in Boston in about there was a event by the Google Cloud developers and then the topic is agentic AI. So I'm going to bring this one. And when I talk about in agentic AI in healthcare, and also, I'm going to talk about another topic is Ethic Solution is my client company. So that's another like they try to solve the silos, the problem with the healthcare data. So it is like agentic powered healthcare data management platforms. So I participate and then I just draft and then file it. So provisional filing for several innovation that unifies the healthcare data across EHRs, labs, device, and document. So it various type of the subsystem include data management analysis and document management system and compliance and operation and resource operation type of the all data set can be wholly particularly like for example a lot of data is produced in clinical research and trials, right? And then it can be like a very holistic way to manage whole type of data generate through clinical trials or the research or the other kind of healthcare system operation. So this tool is a good tool that I'm going to implement that I mentioned the previously about how to do is a more modern type that the based on traditional IP mode and then bring a more dynamic way to bring this one. So this one actually, so I just tried to implement like early priority anchor and subsystem flexibility, right? And then and the global scalability is think about it, and technically effective framing. So, so, I just to bring that adaptive mode philosophy. So I just excited that, that when I try to develop this new concept, right? 'Cause this is my concept. It's not by others. So usually that the difference is that because I'm mostly I'm positioning in not just to like a traditional IP attorney, patent attorney, but also actively involved in innovation and business process over for 30 years. So I can and happily then and unfortunately the two startup actually the to give me opportunity to bring my kind of new IP mode concept strategy to their innovation. So I'm happy to implementing kind of this kind of like a new type of the IP mode strategy through and the big hot topic, the agentic AI in healthcare. So it's a good time to explore this one. So I'm just thinking about adaptive mode philosophy and IP protection ever with AI native healthcare, right? So in the the we just started talk about AI native anywhere, right? So creating adaptive modes, brand legal protection with the regulatory foresight and compliance by design, ensuring invented platform remains defensible and resilient over time. Okay, so this is what I'm thinking about, not just that. as a human expert to do that. Actually, I found that, as I mentioned, there is many different kind of like complex process and then data like analysis, insight, a lot of the like things you need to take care to bring this new type of the IP mode in healthcare. So I was thinking about like because I'm very expertise in this scheme and develop a lot of different type of the agentic AI framework for this direction. So I'm just thinking about this can be also applied in the next generation IP mode in healthcare. So this is one actually the like recap the previous one that I feel the new type of the like adaptive IP mode require, and then to bring this one your reality that there is AI, the agentic AI tool can be utilized. So that's one that I elaborate a lot of different type of the like the framework to utilizing agentic AI to develop. And then the basic philosophy is to bring kind of like a all kind of like a new strategies can be implemented by the human expert with it co-pilot with the agentic AI. So so this is one recap. So patterns are too slow, try to secret leak and copy library, trademark dialer to static. Protection cannot keep pace. So for Disney that I want the in the future direction like kind of like living and adaptive IP mode is required. Right. So that kind of like some like a proprietary data flows and agentic workflow, the feedback loop, and related foresight, it needed in implementing in as a whole framework. So this is one I focus on is the agentic AI human expert co-pilot framework. So human in loop oversight and transspatial reasoning chains and modular multi-agent design. So architect of the trust and many things. So basically over several webinar trees, I already uh, like provide like some of the like, POC type, all aspect of this one I implement. So I show the live demo. So this is one I'm not going to talk about because for implementing this one, we need some specific scenario or something like that. So this is I'm just to show you a general interaction of the identity A powered copilot framework to address the what we talk about challenges in IP mode and how we can bring the new IP mode strategy. But actually that I can work with any kind of like some, for example, that your expertise in your field, and then you based on your like innovation business strategy, we can develop co-develop this framework for fit into your business need. So challenge is how they actually address. So it kind of like the all the challenges I talk about, they can be provide kind of like some ideas. So this is one actually that actually can implement. So the ultimately that we want to is kind of like a building defensible monetizable platform. So workflow protection and orchestration method, data availability rate, IP, and monetization fast way. So this is kind of like a general scheme that and over the like the my engagement my previous two startup, right? Maybe we can be more further developed and more like a standardized framework. It can be extended to other business cases. And then my dream is to have some kind of like a standard platform to bring this side actually the any kind of like a healthcare startup or healthcare like innovation entities can use this framework. That's my goal. And then this is the starting point. This is one thing, so regulatory alignment is a competitive mode, so you can also integrate like some kind of like a regulatory alignment in your strategy. So just announced my two upcoming webinar. So as I told you, that I have very expertise to developing this kind of like agentic AI human expert co-pilot. And then my current focus is to the healthcare financing and investment. I motivated by this one by some reason, and my involvement with my startup also, like I'm involved in the fundraising, and also like I'm very interested in how to bring the transparency and equity even in the fund in the like investment fundraising in healthcare. So I think about that agentic AI framework can address the challenges. So if you're interested in, so for this webinar, actually, this is targeting venture capital. So I just invite only venture capitals. But if you're interested, you can attend. But the major target is a venture capitalist. So if you are interested in investing and formalizing more like agentic AI powered, like how to evaluate your portfolio company, right? Because whether it's investable or not, then this is a fit into you. But for generally, this is one I'm targeting for the startup. So in this case, actually, I'm collaborating with the industry expert, God Hicks, and then we will talk about like so well proven the startup fundraising strategies. God actually the more than 15 years of experience in fundraising. So here we hear about the proven fundraising strategy, and then I'm suggesting like for example, based on my I have a three scheme of the agentic AI framework to read into like a more transparent and the more viable like fundraising in the early stage of healthcare and life science. So if you're interested, and this is for the general like if you're an entrepreneur founder and looking for the fund or any type of the you're interested in the fund, then this is the webinar that you can attend. Okay, so I will share. So I have one part of the slide actually that I didn't make the correct content. So I will fix it and then I will share my presentation and also I could share my recording. Okay, so any comment or anything that you want to share your insight?
Yeah, hi,
Anyone?
Alex.
Yeah.
Thank you for your webinar. Just wanted to just check, like I'm also working on like a startup on AI in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
And my question mainly is like at what point you did two startups and this webinar you talk about the IP that you did for it. At what point did you end up doing the process for IP modes?
Oh, this one actually that I've shared before that actually the all the filing because as you mentioned that because like the reason because that this webinar is I did a lot of webinar for different industry. I've been 30 years
Hmm.
in in technology, mostly high tech, deep tech, and stuff. For this kind of like focus on healthcare, I did 2 years. And then,
Hmm.
Randy, you are the one actually the attend a lot of my webinar, right? And then over this kind of like a very, very like interesting topic that I have a new network contact a lot of people, especially a lot of the like startup founders contact me, right? And then, and then
That's what I'm wondering. So at what point in the startup, like, are you still working on your startup? Is it like fully developed and you're thinking to reach out to the market and that's where you start to work on your IP modes, or is it
No,
like
no, no. So IP mode, as I mentioned, that I have engaged with all different type of stages of the startup. The
Mhm.
early stage, like even the proof of concept stage up to later, like after IPO, right?
Right, right.
Right.
Makes
So in the different spectrum have a different IP strategy required, right? But the point is that the early protection is no question, right?
yeah,
For example, that some company just contact me and then I'm just thinking about the idea, for example. For
yeah,
me, when I have a good idea, I file a patent first. You know, 'Because I'm patent attorney, I know about the value, right? And then I prepare a provisional patent because low cost, right? Is in the country US is a filing fee is $130.
makes
You,
sense.
you
Yeah.
spend your $130, you will get the invention date. Very important, right?
Hmm.
Right? So and then suggest I suggest everyone that meet. I'm patent attorney. I'm 30 years experience in kind of like technology and IP, right? Even me, I file my own invention patent because, for example, for over 2 years, I came up with a lot of the new innovation, right? I filed a seven patent of mine, right? And then,
Yeah.
and then I spend some money, right, out of pocket, in very early stage, right? Whenever I have an idea, you know that as you mentioned that for example, the patent law does not require your invention is be implemented already, right? Right? A lot of people think about that the patent requires something, some concrete thing. No, it's a conceptual, right? Only requires it can be it's a new, right? Because different from others, right? No, that means no prior. It's not obvious, like not any different idea, right? And then it be useful and then enable. It not all like time machine. Everybody know about like a time machine is very difficult to implement, right? So, but if you based on your invention disclosure that everybody know about, it can be implement it or not, it depending on the time and effort, whatever, right? If that you bring that one, it can be patentable, right? And then I just explained that. So, but a lot of people just, I'm still in idea stage, and then I need a lot of money to spend other things. No, this is the one, the most cheapest one you can spend in all it.
Yeah.
Me, I'm doing right same thing. Once I my what I'm doing is this is my strategy. First, I look at I've talked with a lot of people, and then look at the like conference whatever, and then look at the read everything, and then I'm very creative. The mindset because of the for 30 years I'm trained, right? And then I come up with a new business idea. And then I'm thinking about some the prototype in the thought to mind, right? Because I'm not develop anyone. And then I'm recently that ChatGPT is good to test your POC, right? If you have experience, right?
Yeah.
So I test my idea, and then it can be like it's viable. Then I direct my patent first and the file, and then disclose to anyone then my idea because I'm disclosing my idea because I already filed a patent, right? So and then after that I contact a lot of people that this is my idea that about full bring this vulnerability. I need some partner, the sponsor, whatever, to actually implement. Then I need like engineers or whatever, right? So. So that's my recommendation, but contrary to my expectation, a lot of people just have a 1 hour talk and then they say, "Oh, thank you for sharing your insight," and then just go away. So
No,
only
thank you very
few,
much.
yeah,
Yeah.
full startup actually that I have the work on up to now, and then fortunately these two startup has have the same mind with me, so they want to implement my IP mode strategy. Right?
No, thank you. I think most of the company don't realize how crucial it is to do it in the start, and they
Mhm,
just think when they're ready, they'll do it.
mhm,
But no, thank you for sharing your insight. Thank you.
mhm,
Hi, Alex. I had a question, if that's okay.
mhm. Yeah.
Um, Thank you so much for the webinar. I thought it was really insightful. And again, good to see you again, actually.
Mhm.
So I hear when you said that, patenting does not require that the invention is being used already, and that it can just be at the idea stage at the time of filing. And, I hear you suggesting that we do it ASAP. But I'm a very early stage startup, and I'm creating an algorithm that will need to be protected. But at the stage that I'm at right now, I don't really have all the specific details. And I hear you say in your presentation that the more specific we can make our IP, the better, and the better we'll be able to protect it. So, how do we balance that? What tips do you have for early stage startups like me, where we don't have a clear idea of what exactly we'll be creating, but at the same time, we want to be protecting it from the earliest stage possible?
Yeah, that's why I provide like it's a like everything you have decided in the business, it's kind of benefit and cost model, right? Anyways, including me, right? I just think about, oh, okay, so I always think about when before I file a patent, actually the even $130 is and I spend a lot of the time to like drafting it, right? And then whether it's worthwhile or not, right? So it depending on your business scenario, whatever, right? So so that that but you can think about like priority, right? It's a priority. Think about it, right? And then you can think about, okay, so I have some idea. Then what should I do now, right? I'm the same mind, right? Because I'm up to all stage, right? And then what should I do, right? And then, oh, okay, so first let's develop some as far as I can go, right? Without spending a lot of money, right? That's the early stage, right? And then I recommend you to uh, exploit ChatGPT because ChatGPT has, for example, a lot of my agentic AI is kind of like I just developed using the heavy prompt engineering, so it's a POC. But you know that because the ChatGPT is agentic AI, you know that because how you develop your prompt, right? So all of my agent has a function their function is actually that I design by prompt engineering. So one of the I talk about like for example, this is one idea like this is I said like oh this agent does this agent did actually this is same ChatGPT right, but assign that you are this one right, this agent, your function. And you, what your role is this? I make a trump, right? You do this, right? Right? Then assign you other dysfunctional agent, and then I bring other thing. The multi-agent system, right? So that's one same thing you have in mind at all this stage, right? And then think about that. Okay, so this idea is this one, and then what happened that actually I have a function or something like that. Put in more, right? So you develop more idea, right? And then there is some point, that there is some point you will find that, oh, it's good. It looks good, right? That's the time you can think of file or pattern, right? Right? Because
Okay.
I do the same thing, right? Because and then the beauty of the current stage is that because of ChatGPT, you can test your idea, right? You can prompt engineering then your idea, and then I will give you a hint like I assign my ChatGPT that I'm designing this innovation, right? And then I'm going to give this function, and then I'm thinking about new service or whatever. Do you think about this is kind of like a new features you can bring, and then it'll be like implementable? ChatGPT is very good to give you answer. And then based on that you further develop idea, and then you in your view that okay, so I have a systemic view of my invention. It can be like a business idea, and then it can be like implementable whatever. And then you have a very good idea. That's a POC stage, right? And then that you in the POC stage is a time to find a pattern, right? Because a POC is enough. That's what I meant. Because you don't need to implement, right? But it is workable because you already have a tested, right? Right? Even not built, right? It can be implementable, used for new and not obvious and patternable, then file pattern, right? So it does not matter is the state. The state is a matter is to, for example, that during for example, once file a provisional pattern, you have a 1 year grace period. You adjust everything, invent everything, right? And during the time, you think about there is a dramatic change in your innovation, and then you find another the provisional patent application because of the reason is that because of invention date is very important because I found that this is a very competitive kind of like a space, right? A lot of people are doing different things. They have the same mind like you. As far as I know that there are 100 maybe the think about the same mind, right? And then who actually developed first, right? So that's why that uh, if you think about it's a very concrete idea, even the idea rather, and then it can be implementable, right, in the future, then file a patent. But that's a provisional one. During the time you have of time to evaluate or something like that, and then you can seriously think about that the which part of your initial invention really has a feature that cover your product. actually implementing, right? So
Yeah.
that's the one you see in the Oura, right? Because all your product function feature covered by patent, not just one, several. They call patent portfolio, right? So over the process of your business and stage, and you need a different patent strategy. But very simple is a very early stage, right? Because in the invention day, in the provision one, and from the time you can think about further, right? And then you need a kind
Great.
of like expert like me.
Of course. Just a couple of really short follow-up questions. So when you say use ChatGPT to test the proof of concept and the entire idea, so would you suggest that we use the free version of the ChatGPT or the enterprise version? Because I'm just concerned that if we use the free version and because the content is being used to train the system itself, does it
No,
interfere with the
I think that it depending on the like how to use the ChatGPT. For me, I don't have any problem in not I'm not using premium. Like I'm not spending $100 for the ChatGPT, right? But usually I just what's this in between? I'm using not I'm not recommending free one if you wanna use in the business, right? And then so
Okay.
I'd recommend you like how much the $15 or $17 something like that, right? Not the
Okay.
not the premium, but the fee base, right? I think that that's enough, right? But
Okay.
if you it depending on, right? But if you're seriously that still I have a lot of my work in the POC or something like that, right? But if you really want to develop something using ChatGPT, you need the professional one.
Mm, yeah.
The reason is because of the token you can use, right? Because you have a heavily used so frequently, then you run out of your token, then you cannot use it anymore. And also like another thing is to memory, right? Because
Mm,
memory is very important, right? So
yeah.
usually I did a lot of things, and then I only keep the minimal memory. But actually, that if they have for example, a lot of the function, that's why that ChatGPT you cannot use as a production level one, but in especially agentic AI. So you need the other tools platform. There are more than dozen that you can available, right? But for the POC concept, I think that you can utilizing just the small amount of fee that you can pay, right? I think that is
Sure.
worthwhile. Based on my production value and then fee cost, I have a 100, 1000x ROI spending $15 something like that.
Of course, that's very helpful. And just the final question, and I'm so sorry, everyone, I'm taking up so much time. Is it right for me to think that if I think of a multi-agent design, that can be protected with a provisional patent, just the design itself, the idea of the design?
No, it does not depending on the whether multi-agent or not, right?
Okay.
Does not care about how you draft your develop your system with a subsystem modular stuff. It doesn't care about it, right? It care
Okay.
about is in wholly your invention is a new one, right? With respect, because this is some technical thing. Because for example, that you file a patent, right?
Yeah.
And then usually the examiner, they just review your claim, right? What they're doing is that they looking at every claim term, right? And then they elaborate keywords based on your claim. And that they have the exam USB examiner, they have a special search tool in-house, and they have like a semantic search or whatever that you can think of, right? Listening there is AI, similarity search, whatever. They put there, and then try to find out the prior, usually the old patent, and then they look at the whole specification, and then they find out the very similar feature of the paragraph or the clause, and then put it there, and then compare them, right? If there is the cover. And then I don't want to go more, right? Because there's a patent law as one or two, one or three. But anyway, because then you find that something, the prior can construe your claim, you cannot be patentable, right? They are all prior, right? So it doesn't matter whether the multi-component or whatever. It's matter is every element you use, and in system-wise, will there is out there someone actually already done one.
Okay. Okay. Great. Thank you so much. Really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah. Anyone? Okay, so I think that because I just recommend that because if you need help then I can support it because I did this kind of activity for a long time, right? And then even I have like more than 20 my own innovation, right, doing this kind of thing. So I'm very expertise and experience, so I can help you that. And so maybe we can, if you're interested that in the future topic, that one announce is that because I just teach in Johns Hopkins, and then I finished yesterday about my thesis quote about the topic was frontiers in AI in healthcare and this and I'm thinking about the next topic because through my teaching experience that I bring my own innovation. I provide a lot of the like real time demo by Agentic AI how to do it in the different type of the healthcare space. And then I found a lot of people want to do the same thing like me. They are very curious about how I do. So that's what I'm thinking about is uh, uh, to have a hand-on course that the course will be the kind of like that that's the same philosophy that agentic AI plus human expert co-piler for architecting future AI native expert. Actually, the philosophy is that recently a lot of people are worried about that the AI overpass, right? Because their capabilities suppress their capabilities and they will lose their kind of like their expertise over AI. There is some fear you already heard about in Silicon Valley, right? Because a lot of the like software engineers and then almost all the code work now, for example, the now the coding before you have a can do like coding Python, C++, you can have a job. Now no more, right? Because the AI can do better than you, right? So we need a different expert, right? A different function, expertise, experience required. So we need to be AI native. Means that we are the naturally that collaborate AI. We can need to oversight AI. We can use the maximum use of the AI, right? And that's true. Actually, the your function will be like enhanced and then augmented through this interaction with the AI. I call that's what I call like and then not just simple AI, agentic AI. Think like you. So I'm thinking about it like this agentic AI is your digital twin of you that actually think like you because you train there. And then that's exactly what I'm doing. Like all of my thing is my agent AI is kind of bring my expertise to them, right? And then I found that who is your co-filer to AI is also how much you're smart in your AI, right? Because it is, I found it because the people think of, oh, so AI, right? Because AI can be make you smart, but also you make your AI smart. That's what I found, right? Because for example, my ChatGPT is much smarter than maybe others, right? Because of my use, right? So I'm thinking about this kind of course, right? Because particularly I'm thinking about into like in the healthcare domain, but I can apply. I'm currently I'm working on many different type of the. So my idea is, do you have a expertise? For example, the Shweta, you have your expertise, right? And then I'm going to teach that how to bring your expertise as a framework, and then teach your ChatGPT that understand your intention. And then maybe you, for example, it's like a start, right? Like, hey, you name that, like, hey, Alex, you're my agentic AI co-filer, right? I'm doing that. You know, like it's funny thing. Like when I using the prompt my ChatGPT, I'm doing say, hey, co-filer, I wanna design, I wanna do. I communicate with my AI agent, right? And then I just want this. You know that my intention or something like that. So I'm going to teach them how to design your ChatGPT as your agentic AI co-filer that can be miming you, and then can be half you, right? Right. And then any aspect of the expert, they have their own know-how, expertise, something like that. And then if you can bring as a framework so AI can understand, and then you will have your own co-pilot agentic AI. So that's what I'm thinking of. If successful, I'm going to apply for the next semester course. Maybe you may be interested, right? Okay, anyone? Okay, so we already 5 minutes past. So if you have any question or the comment or whatever, then just contact me. So you know what? All of you are actually my LinkedIn connection. So just to let me know. Okay. Thank you for attending to this webinar, and then hope to see you again in my next webinar. Okay. Thank you. Take care. Bye
Thank
bye.
you.